Have you guys heard of The Fourth Turning by Neil Howe? This is a little less esoteric than Alice Bailey and the Black Ops, but The Fourth Turning is just a mainstream scholarly way of looking at history. And I had degrees in history and never in my undergrad or my graduate studies in history, never encountered until recently the cycles view of history. Because we usually think of history as being a line, right? A timeline. It's linear. And maybe an optimistic view is a line that kind of progresses, and the advancement of human freedom or technologies. You have the Enlightenment, you get the scientific revolution century by century. In the modern age, at least, you see progress, or maybe you have a biblical worldview that the general society is trending downward into the abyss of immorality and the weeds growing onto the harvest, but also the redeemed having an upward climb to the measure and the stature and the fullness of Christ. But either way, it's lines. But really, when you think about time and the passage of time, isn't it naturally viewed as a cycle? And I don't mean the Eastern view of everything is just in yin and yang and, in a perpetual cycle, but things do tend to cycle like seasons, right? Genesis 8:22 says that seed time and harvest, summer and winter will not cease. So, and then the generational view of history in the Bible is also present, where it's not dated by years, but by the age of this patriarch. And he gave birth to his firstborn son when he was this old, and then he died at this age. So it's a generational view. And then you think about your own life, it's kind of divided up into seasons, early childhood, or your childhood, spring, your young adulthood, summer, your midlife age, which I know, and I'm pausing at this. I just got to have a moment here. I know you got to have a moment here, Scott.
Winter's coming.
Because you know what they say, the demographers say midlife is the youngest president who was ever elected, 43. I happened to turn 43 last year, and I'm like, does this mean what I think it means? But no. Fall is beautiful. It's my favorite season in Michigan.
It's mine too.
September is beautiful.
And things can change color and be brilliantly bright.
There we go. And then winter season, the senior years. So it's kind of we start taking Social Security in our early to mid 60s. So, 20 a childhood ends legally completely at age 21. You get full adulthood at 21 for all privileges in society. So 4 seasons of 20 or 20 and change years. And then society is made up of human beings living human lifespans. So maybe history kind of patterns on these cycles too, as well as going in lines. Not introducing an Eastern philosophy here, but you can imagine loops like this superimposed over the lines.
Sure.
That's my present philosophy of history in a nutshell. And the reason that I had to think through that is because I'm looking at what Neil Howe is presenting in The Fourth Turning is here in this incredible book. I mean, I don't agree with everything in it, but it really reveals cycles in history. And I'm encountering that going, okay, think about the years of America's biggest crises: Revolutionary War, Civil War, World War II. When did the British surrender to the Americans in the Revolutionary War? 1781. When did the Civil War start? 1861. And when did World War II start? 1941. Are you noticing a pattern here? Those are exactly 80 years apart. And you look also at summer seasons where you kind of have awakenings, in the Great Awakening or the Millerite Awakening in the early to mid 1800s. And basically, you can look at the last 600 years of history, and you see these things cycling over and over again. When you go back prior to the American Revolution to Anglo-American history, you zoom out a little bit, and you find every 80 to 105 years, another giant war. On cue, on schedule. And America's 3 biggest were in that winter season. So, we won't get timelines out and try to do a whole lecture on this, but bottom line is you're seeing cycles through history. And what are we in right now? As of 2008, we are in the winter season of history, the crisis season. Typically, the second half of a crisis season is when it gets the worst and you have giant war. So that's on the table just from a historical perspective. We know it's wars and rumors of war are coming, but we can actually get a little closer, a little warmer to timelines when you look at history. And there were Roman historians that observed their own history after some time in the Roman Empire, and they were noticing these same cycles going back thousands of years. And they would say, we expect this kind of event is coming. Keep an eye open for that. And they got reputations as prophets just by looking at history.
Wow.